ね、よくわかんないゲームなんだけどね。さてとはだからフィルドがかかってるみたいな感じで、これは何なの？
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
とりあえずことの始まり、つまり上のことから。
Someone had put up a chain link fence, but it looked like I wasn't the first person to hop it. My brother Milton disappeared when I was 4. It was like the house just swallowed him up.
ホラーゲームなんですかね。何でやってホラーゲームは苦手なんですよ。
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
立ち入りが許されていなかった。なんで？こいつ
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
開けねえのかよ。
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
お兄さんの葬式や戻ってきたのは初めて。監視カメラ。
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know, or she thought the mystery would be enough to bring me back. No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints. The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to. The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
なるほど、確かにフィンチ家の奇妙な屋敷というか、なんだろうね、違法建築がね、シンプルにね、なんか、建てますね、すぐ建てますみたいな感じで増やしましたみたいな、なんか、やべえ建物になってるね、これね。これの大半、立ち入り禁止されてたん
As a
ですよ。
child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
なんか、狂気の建物って感じですもんね。怖えよ。
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
いや、この家は怖い。間違いなく。
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
家で玄関のドアが開けばいいなと思ったけど。
Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
さて、鍵で開かない不思議なお家と来ると、そして相続したと思ってことは家族はみんないなくなった、もしくは、てかまあ少なくとも死んだとかそんな感じ？ガレージから入る。 そういう入り方なの。
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
犬用のドアをくぐるのは11歳の時にこれが、それはそうだろうっていうか、11歳の時までは犬用のドアから出てたってことか。そしてその方法を今回も
For the first time in years,
久しぶりに
I felt like I was home.
家にいると。
But instead of a family, there were just
でも家族
memories
の
of
会
one.
にあるのは記憶にだけど、
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
うちの家で毎週がいたたった一軒のレストラン。消えるのが早かった。
Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat,
みんな
Molly.
鮭に嫌気がさした。
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
想像できたのは母さんだけだった。ちゃんと登場人物がいる。なんか
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
テレビもなんか普通
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house after it sank.
沈んだ最初のしかし物がごっちゃごっちゃ置かれた家ですねこれ。
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit. Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
そして家の他に
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive. A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
あの世の混乱の中たくさんのものが取り残された。
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
なんて変な操作したら字がいっぺんに吹き飛んでくださいよ。そしてここの扉は開かないと。ここんな楽だかったっけ。じゃあ上の階に登っていきますか。
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms.
ミルトンが行方
Then
不明
Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
それにイーディは反発して覗き穴を。わからん、何なんだこの家は。
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother,
サムおじいちゃん何年ない。
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed
どの
inside
家
of.
も覗きはね、封印されて入れない部屋があるものだと思ってました。 こ
Edie's father Odin built the original house.
もともとの家はイーディの父オーディンによって建てられた。
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it. Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
いつも最初に知りたがるのはバーバーの話だった。
Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
母さんが3階を封じたに違いない。なぜそんな扉の付け方したんですか？
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947. I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up. Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him. Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it. Mom, can I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back. My Halloween candy was all gone. I kept eating and eating. I ate a lot of things that night. Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat. I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me. I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits.
フィンチ家。まあ多分その絵に描いてある女性みたいなのが多分主人公でしょ。で、今フクロウになってるのはそのモリーよね。
His face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark. I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I was hungrier than ever. And it tasted really good.
弱肉強食の世界。アザラシ捕食ゲート化してきた。なんだアザラシ捕食ゲートって。アザラシはね、アシカや。
Out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed. Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, but I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't. Passenger, I was still hungry. And to cross the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe. I got closer and closer. All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Edie は
I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here before my mom sealed the doors. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage. This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room. We got along, and it was a good place to hide from my mom. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house, Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways. Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace. There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down. I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did. At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly. But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible.
何をすればいいのか全くわからない。
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Alvin, I'm not going to tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly, and he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing. After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again. The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star. I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards. Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was canceled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent. She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh, dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hookman, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And Johnny thought he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's got to be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet. The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
やかましいわ。
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
人を食ったモリーに化け物に加えたバーバラね。まあ今回はここにしましょう。意外と面白かったこのゲーム。続きやりますね。